Hi, a very warm welcome to each and everyone joining us today for an informative webinar that we have brought you on behalf of OP Chandra Global University. It is my honor to welcome all of you. This is your host and moderator for this evening. I am Ankur Vohra, the Director for Outreach and International Admissions at OP Chandra Global University. We are a leading social science research-based liberal arts institution located in Delhi, NCR, India. I would also like to welcome all my distinguished panelists, my colleagues and dear friends from five other leading universities from India. We have some really qualified people who lead admissions and outreach at their respective universities and who are leaders in our domain in higher education administration with us today. Unfortunately, one of our speakers could not make it today because there is an emergency in her family. We have in her place Ms. Sadhana. So Anju is not here. We have Sadhana from Flame University who will be representing the Flame University. Let me just first start by saying that I hope all of you are doing well. All of us have been affected by this pandemic. We have been personally affected. Last year, if it was just distant numbers, this year it's either us, our close family members, and it's tremendously tough situation for any of us to be in. But yeah, this is the situation that we have to live with. I got the idea for this webinar, and I thought couple of times before planning this in the midst of a pandemic, and we know the situation out there. But I thought, as they say, the show must go on, the conversation must go on. There are about a million plus students that have to that are as confused as we are. They're as perplexed. But maybe if we get together on a forum and if we start talking with each other, probably we'll find solutions to a lot of problems that are there around us. So this is a small initiative on our behalf at Open University to connect all the major stakeholders. I have the five university representatives, higher education leaders with us. I also see that there are a lot of career counselors that have joined us or have registered for this webinar. We would like this to be an open forum. I would like to do less of talking today and more of conversations. I would like all of you to engage with us, ask your questions through the chat box, Q&A, whatever works for you. I'm also happy to get your questions on live. Let this be like a town hall wherein we discuss issues that are faced to us, all of us, and definitely the students and communities that we serve. So without much further ado, I would like to start by just giving a 5-minute presentation about the context of this webinar. We are going to talk about the impact of COVID-19 on Indian universities, admissions and outreach process. How have we adapted over the last 1 year, and where do we think we will be in coming 2021-22 academic year? 2020 definitely was a tough year for all of us. It was the first time that we heard the term lockdown. We heard that our oxygen levels and the virus and everything negative that has to go around with the pandemic. We were all part of it. We had to face a lot of tough situations. We had to adapt. All of us, nobody was left untouched in any field on this planet. But I think educationists, schools, universities, colleges had to also adapt overnight to serve their students and communities. The higher education teachers, administrators, all had to adapt to new form of administration, teaching, and we as admissions officials had to adapt our processes. Zoom became a work for all of us. It was a tough year for everyone, including the university admissions, as I said. And we had hoped that 2021 would be better. I remember February, we opened our campus for officials and we started working out of office. I was very optimistic that, now things will only improve from here. And then probably by September or October, we'll have some students coming back on campus. Vaccines were here, everything was looking up, and I could see that a lot of universities also had started traveling a bit for doing outreach events. There were people traveling. So things were basically looking up, but then April happened And almost immediately by second week of April, we had to go into lockdown. So Opijindal went into a lockdown in second week of April, complete lockdown. And from a few hundred new active cases in February, we now have about 400,000 plus cases coming in a day. Just couple of days, I think last couple of days, we have been continuously getting, India has been reporting 1,000 cases a day from a few thousand cases that we had in February. We are definitely in the midst of a second wave, or even if you can call it a third wave, I don't know. But it's been very tough. It's been tougher than the last year, I think, and it is getting tougher. I don't think situations is going to improve in few months, as we have all read the news and we have all part of here. We know anybody close to us has been affected, or our own families have been affected by the impact of COVID-19 on grade 12 students. Definitely grade 12 examinations have been postponed to May and June, or probably they have been postponed even after that. Grade 10 examinations have been cancelled. I don't think, I'm just speculating here, but it's very tough circumstances for any examinations to be conducted right now. Standardized testing opportunities have been limited over the last 1 year. Now they are almost closed. There have been no national entrance examinations that have been planned for the coming 3 to 4 months. Again, I don't know what will be the situation there. How will be the national entrance examinations like JEE, the medical entrance examinations conducted? Students generally have anxiety and uncertainty, as somebody in their teenage years will have, but this is definitely a very, very tough scenario for anybody, even for adults like us to be in, leave alone teenagers to sort their life out. There have been limited opportunities for profile building. There is anxiety all around us. Students and parents have questions that need to be answered. Will the grade 12 examinations be cancelled? How will be the university admissions happen if no grade 12 or entrance examinations will be conducted? How are private universities in India looking at the current situation? Should I do as a student to mitigate the risk of COVID-19 impact on my university applications? And how will COVID-19 impact my university experience, even if I enroll in a university and go in for online classes? I think that's in short what 4 or 5 things that I could think of from my conversations with students and career counselors that we had. Coincidentally, I was hosting a couple of webinars 2 weeks back with some leading career counselors in India. That is where we also discussed how our Indian university is adapting to the new normal, and how are we making sure that whatever we can do, we are trying to ensure that we have some sort of normalcy for our students. Quickly, I just want to take 2 minutes and talk about what we at JGU have done over the last 1 year when we had to go online. We have ensured academic continuity for Jindal. Our capacity was expanded by 1.5 times over. We had 24,000 plus online classes, 100% library, 1,250 examinations, online examinations that were conducted for our students. We created more than 200 student fellowship programs for our students, the graduate research immersion program and teaching and research for intellectual pursuit exclusively for JGU students inside the university, apart from 4,000 plus students that were given in winter internships, most of them online, that were facilitated through our Office of Career Services. We tried our best to give some kind of international exposure to our students. We have over 250 plus partners. We had 250 plus partners already before the pandemic hit us. JGU added 70 more. So that means we have now 320 plus collaborations. In association with University of Arizona, we set up their Global Study Center here in our campus, and we became a part of their Global Immersion Fellowship programs for Indian students. We created more learning and interdisciplinary opportunities. We launched 7 new interdisciplinary programs, and we offered 280 plus new electives to our students. We also collaborated with UpGrad to offer 2 new blended learning programs, the LLME in corporate and financial law, and an MBA in digital finance and banking that has already been launched last year and doing well. For admissions, we definitely have applied artificial intelligence, and all our examination, including our law examination, Yeah, and our general scholastic aptitude test for all other schools online, and they are now given in home proctored manner, wherein students from any India or world can give it from their home any time of the day. We have slots available for them. So testing centers, that issue was resolved very early on when we started our COVID hit admission process. We also had about 67% increase in our admission applications last year with in comparison to year before that. And we had a generally good admission cycle for all our programs. We also worked on enabling emotional and mental wellness programs. We had tie-ups with Your Dost and our emotional and mental wellness center worked very, very closely with students and staff to ensure that we could minimize anxiety led by COVID. We also collaborated with the Association of Indian University to prepare a COVID-19 response toolkit for higher education institutions. JGU also innovated an app, Tao, for school ERPs, which has been given free of cost to schools across India. We just launched this activity. There are 12 schools that have already signed up for Tao. So that's about it, what we did at JGU. I'd like to stop here and then invite my distinguished panel to come in and start talking about the topic at hand. May I invite Ms. Bhakti Shah, the Director for Outreach at Krea University, for her comments, please.
Sure. Thanks, Ankur. First of all, very good afternoon to everyone. And thank you, Ankur, for taking this initiative. These are grim times, and it would be just so amiss to pretend that everything is okay, because each one of us is affected personally with the pandemic. So I want to start off by hoping that everyone who's attending this is taking good care of themselves. I think the pandemic has obviously changed completely. I mean, the way we live, the way we think, the way we breathe, the way we socialize. So needless to say, outreach and admissions have undergone a massive, massive shift in the last year and a half. And what seemed like things were coming to normal a few months ago, and just a month ago, it felt like, yeah, we were coming back to normal. And again, we're all thrown in a dizzy. So especially for outreach, I'd like to begin by saying that outreach traditionally has been about physical meetings. It's been about relationships. It's been about going to schools, meeting with principals, meeting students in person. And, last year when the pandemic hit and everything was shut down, I know for a fact that it really was not something that everybody was prepared for. And something that a lot of edtech companies have been trying to get us to do for a very, very long time. I think the pandemic did overnight. Suddenly everybody was embracing Zoom and Google Meets and whatnot. So in that sense, digitization is something that has really been biggest, I think, byproduct of what we have seen in the last year and a half. And I know that all the universities here, all our peers, everyone has been embracing online sessions, whether it is for open houses or for one-on-one meetings with principals. And it has its pros and cons, and there's no point in getting the cons of it, because the fact is this is the reality. And in some ways, I think it has worked out because it is cost effective in that sense that, we're not traveling as extensively anymore. That makes the accounts and finances very happy. But the fact is that we are missing out on the personal touch. With that being said, I think the other massive change in admissions for us has been that our Krea immersive case studies, or our KICs as we call them, which is a very significant part of the admissions process at Krea, have all been translated into an online format. And this was a challenge because they were formulated to give an experience to students in different cities. And the fact is that, that was the most exciting part of it, that you're physically going to, say, the August Kranti Maidan and actually doing a case study there. And when that changed, we were not sure how the experience would be sustained for students, because it is difficult to recreate that in an online format. But kudos to the admissions team, and they have managed to translate it into an equally immersive online format. We have been getting feedback from students that they are enjoying the online session. And well, I guess they won't know the difference because they've not been for a physical session. So for them, it's still good. Um, I think as far as admissions is concerned, in terms of the fact that grade 12 exams have been postponed indefinitely, what that means for us is not much, because at Krea we do have 18 different parameters of admission, and academic scores is one. We are not giving conditional offers anymore. We are rolling out only unconditional offers to students. We are accepting self-predicted scores for students from national curriculums, because the schools do not offer predicted scores. For international curriculum students, of course, there are predicted grades that are available in most cases, which are being considered. So that is a significant shift in our admission policy. And other than that, I think I just want to sort of tell outreach teams, including my own, and just sort of a small message for them before I go on to the students, is, when we are speaking to students and when we are speaking to parents, we have to be sensitive and compassionate to the situation we are in. And we have to sort of take a step back from the traditional conversations that we've been having. To students and parents, I want to say that it's okay. It is rather sad that your children are experiencing a very different kind of college application and admission process. Even the experience of career fairs in person is such a wonderful thing to have. It's such an important part of the college selection process for grade 12 students, but it's not there for this cohort. And with that being said, as universities, we are trying our best to be out there with you, in front of you, online as much as we can. Our helplines are open. We are available to counsel you at any time of the day. Just make the most of it. Don't stress. If exams are postponed, there are universities who are looking beyond your grade 12 scores. They are giving you admissions based on a variety of factors, which is about your personal story. For example, at Krea, we look at the personal story, we look at your extracurriculars, we look at your co-curricular activities. So, don't get stressed into thinking that if you're not going to get your grades in time, you're not going to get admissions, because the fact is that we are reaching out to you, and till you don't get your scores, a lot of universities will not be able to close their admissions. So don't get stressed from that perspective. And right now, just focus on staying safe. And yeah, I think I will end my comments, and I'll look forward to contributing to the conversation in the later part of the conversation. Thanks, Ankur.
Thank you so much, Bhakti, for, for your comments. I think, yeah, absolutely right. For us also, I forgot to mention that for Jindal also, for grade 12 examinations are not required. We are not looking at your grade 12 examination scores. Actually, we have a holistic admission process wherein you can get a offer of admission for us even without your grade 12 score, similar to what Bhakti said for Krea. May before I invite my next speaker, audience, please keep your questions coming. As I said, we want to make it as interactive as possible. So please type in your questions or raise hand options, and we will be with you shortly. I would now like to invite Mr. Anil Nair, the Director for Admissions and Outreach at Shiv University, to share his feedback with us. Anil, over to you.
Thanks, Ankur, and a very warm welcome and good evening to all of you. As Bhakti, my preceder, just talked about, these are the unprecedented time and grim situation, and all of us has been touched in walk of life, whether it's next to the key in friends and all across. I'm not going to talk much on the situation right now, as we are all aware, but just wanted to share probably my thoughts, especially in current situation and impact on education industry. I think last year, COVID hit us, and we were not even prepared. And in a right way, we had certain uncertainty and all, but I think most of the private sector university all across are able to adapt certain things. Okay. And we heard a terminology, if you all would have heard, which is predominantly used in defense and military situation, is called VUCA. We had heard of, VUCA world and all. That was pretty much in, there were webinar sessions happening on VUCA and all. But if you clearly understand the each definition of each word, mortality, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, actually we touch that phase now. That is hitting us more importantly right now. Like say, for an example, ambiguity. Today, the problem for students, let me tell you, each parents, counselor, whoever is there, the ward will be able to get admission. That's for sure. That's for sure, because last year has also happened, the admissions happened. But the problem is, the anxiety level is increasing, whether the board happens, not happens. If it happens, how it happens. You understand this ambiguity part? Okay. Last year, the situation was, it's going to happen, it's going to be delayed. Okay, but today I think 90% of the all the moderators and my senior leadership fellow here, they can very well tell we are not sure board exam happen or not, and nobody can say that it will happen. So there's a challenge predominantly more on the public, university or central government funded university than the private sector. And I really wanted to appreciate and give a pat to all of the private university leaders here, that we turn around and change, accommodated quickly in terms last year, the whole admission process and system, so that make sure that we are able to make sure that the candidates are safe, and at the end they are able to get to the right kind of program in their respective university. So my only advice to this is a VUCA time and right time. You need to be anxious about certain things. It's for sure, if the board exams are not happening, predominantly I'm talking from the CBC perspective in Indian context, it will not happen for everybody. If there is a process coming, that process would be for everybody. So you're not alone in this. We are all together. Okay, so whatever happen, let it be happen. And like university like Krea, Jindal, this already said that. So board, they're not looking at this. So my advice would to all of you, why don't you make sure that you reserve your place at least to one or two university which you feel is great, and then please don't be anxious about it. So your backup plan is there. Let's say for engineering student, you're aspiring to go to IITs, triple IITs, and IITs, excellent, but you don't know how it's going to happen. No problem, just take a backup. And we all actually are well wisher. We would be happy to see you in IITs, rather than here also. It's okay, fine. But make sure that once you do this, 70-80% you're relaxed, okay, and then you probably focus and prepare further whether the JE April will happen or not happen. So you're prepared. So that's my situation to all of us, parents, counselors, students. No need to be anxious, because the situation we have to face all together. Exam happen, not happen. That's the predominantly thing. And last year I think we also changed, and we were bit empathetical, moving a little bit further down in terms of making sure that students are safe and all. And we changed the whole examination process. So this was the first time, predominantly I'm talking from the engineering background, last year we accommodated the JE scores. Okay, so student who have given the JE, no need to give our exam again. Why to make them getting to a stress process when the situations are not favorable? So the student can apply if their scores are there, 80 percentile, no interview directly, because we know that's a standardized, basically an exam which has been totally given a lot of emphasis on the students' meritorious ability. The second we also saw, which will happen here, the college board SAT exams. Okay, so otherwise, so we accommodated those scores also. Okay, let them take it there. No need to give a test. Yes, we made a personal interaction process there and all like that. Similarly, ACT predominantly used in US, and our own test. I think we were the first one to start the artificial intelligence based remote proctoring test, from the 9th May, which we started up. Quickly we changed it and all. So student can sit at home and give it, and can give exams, and the results been done. So last year we have not included the board marks in the merit list, because we used to conduct merit list offers on the basis of board's marks. So we know that it's not coming. Only we kept the eligibility. So this year we have kept the eligibility, but we don't know what will happen. So I hope before we start the batch, there would be certain decision, and we will go by that decision. Okay, so it's like that. I'm not saying you have to, sail against the, tides and all. It's not the situation, or against the, how the river is flowing. No, let's see what is happening, and accordingly, I think all the university is agile towards changing the process. If something comes tomorrow, we will accommodate that also. So for an example, these are the tough times, so we are not charging the full hostel fees and all. There's no need, because we are not uncertain when the physical class will start and all. So I think each university, so we have actually not taking larger, like not at all anything like it's a residential campus at Shiv University. We are not taking hostel fees. This year also we have recommended, can we take away initial smaller amount, because we know that liquid cash is also very important. Because if you have an emergency, what are you going to do? Because I'm seeing this situation is going to carry on at least a month or 2 months. It's not going to finish quick. So this is what we help student there. We have done, if you ask me, the whole system from the counseling and interaction till onboarding and joining is totally automated. So that's where there is no physical engagement what we have done. But yes, we love to have that. You would like to see the campus, we would like to interact with the faculties, you would like to interact with the current students or professors or deans. That's a missing part. But yes, everything is happening basically now technology based. This is the part which I'm talking about in admissions, and also we adapted to this, and we are continuing this year also. Maybe little bit more alignments, understanding. Let's say we are giving a little leverage in the payment terms. We have a fixed terms. Let's say you got an offer letter by this date. So we are accommodating each and individual, request for each candidates there and all. So that's how we have been done. Next, but it's not related to admission, but I think all the universities has been getting into this. The whole education delivery model, was quite moved up to the online basis version. And we have a challenge there also. We are only talking about onboarding students, but I'm telling all the counselors and teachers here, the anxiety and the toughness for the students is not finishing at the admission level. Then the second level will come for them, how the education has been imparted. So most of the humanities and all program is still okay to be done, but how you're going to showcase a wet lab for a civil engineering student? Just think on those lines. So those are also challenge. Even we are adapted, 3D augmentation, giving the lab environment, but that's hands-on experience is required. So I believe we are getting into a stage where we need to be ready to face any new challenges, be prepared. And the one only thing I'm saying, nobody is alone. We are all together into this. So that's what my humble summation. Not to be anxiety about admissions and all. It will happen for everybody. The only challenge related to, I told you, public and central government university, that will come decision very soon. I think by we will have more clarity by July. By that time, what will happen to them? So Ankur, that's from my end right now in terms of the COVID situation, how we adapted. I think I will leave rest of the things open for the question answer round. We can have very specific. Thank you, Ankur.
Thank you so much, Anil. I think you absolutely are correct when you say that we are all together in this, and we have to overcome this situation together. I really liked your comments and steps that you have taken at Shiv University towards mitigating the risk that students face due to the current situation that we are in. May I now, quickly moving on to our next speaker, may I now invite the Director for Admissions, Outreach and Financial Aid at Ahemdabad University, Ms. Hansa Sachdeva, please, for her comment and feedback.
Thanks, Ankur. I think one of the most important roles that we play today for our students is actually to keep some semblance of normalcy, some semblance of life will go on. And therefore, to all of you who've joined today, thank you for being a part of that process. It's a message that we must send out. To be honest, with COVID, some things changed, but equally some did not at Ahemdabad University. So the whole idea of holistic evaluation, looking beyond a class 12 grade, is something that we've been working on now for 3 years. And I'm sure I speak not just for myself, but for pretty much each of my panelists when I say that we've long ago left behind this idea that a student is a class 12 grade, right? We've moved on from there. And so the transition into actually handling the logistics of evaluating an application was not that major. We have been looking at, personal statements, conducting interactions, looking at earlier grades, talking to school counselors for a couple of years now. And so honestly, uh, this, it was more for the universities who only look at class 12 grades that this whole issue became a problem. In fact, I think it's a great thing that we're being forced, if we haven't already done it, to look beyond class 12. And that's the times, that's just the times, right? So I think that part really did not change too much at Ahemdabad. Um, what did change, of course, was this whole um, business of how do you communicate, how do you reach out, how do you interact digitally. And today, I think every aspect has been taken digital. Of course, you have a virtual tour, but you also have a guided walkthrough where a student ambassador will take you through each building virtually. And so it's high tech, but it's also high touch. Uh, there's a virtual office that runs 9 to 6, and we encourage anybody anywhere to drop in, and you'll find us there interacting with you much as we would in a physical world. So, but this had to happen in double quick time. This year probably will be a smoothening of processes, but clearly every single thing that a student could do to interact with us has to be possible virtually. And I think today it is, but our approach is high tech, high touch. We have all the technologies, but we also want to keep that human connect going with each student. So how do we evaluate? I think has not changed that much. As Anil said, we will accept class 12 grades as provided by diverse boards, as provided by schools, as provided by each student in whichever manner they are available. More importantly, because these aren't the mainstay of our admissions process, each student will still get a fair shot to enter university because we're looking at so many other things, right? It's not just about will I get admission, but will it be an admission that is fair to the work that I have put in over all these years? I mean, there are so many students who actually tell us, ma'am, in the 11th, I thought I need a break between class 10 and class 12. So I didn't do my best. Now, if I don't actually have a class 12 grade, how will you know how good or otherwise I am? And that's where I think this holistic process is important. So do reassure them that we don't only look at class 12, and we will be as equitable, as fair to students as we can. We will look at you as more than a mark. We will look at you as an individual, right? So I think that's purely on the admissions part. I do want to add, though, that one area, and this is where we're still working. So as I said, one thing doesn't change, and that's the holistic review. The contact, completely digital. Right now, we do not want students to step out at all. But the third aspect is around timing. It's around when should term actually start. I hope some of you will share with us what your recommendations are. But we're trying to do some very intensive scenario planning on that. Is it possible for us, for example, uh, to have cohorts join at different times? And we do have a facility whereby we can roll that out. So we actually have about 900 to 950 students joining us in a year. And we're looking at cohorts that start at different times. So there's a great deal of academic planning happening around that. That's purely the admissions process. I'd like to just touch on the fact that it's so important this year that you prepare students for what they can expect once they are at university. So they will get through admissions. But then we also need to tell them that this is what lies ahead. And of course, it will be hybrid. It will definitely be hybrid. There is no possibility that in the next 2-3 months, campuses can be full, back to normal. And we can all see that right now. In that hybrid world, more than just learning will become hybrid. It'll also be about hybrid campus experiences, right? And they should be prepared for that. It'll also be about very different kinds of learning. So we must remember that it's really not so much about how we teach, how we learn, pedagogy, curriculum, and how to deal with a world that has been struck by a pandemic becomes important. So please do let them know that, of course, they'll enter a world in which maybe we will tell them, you know what, we're not going to proctor. We're going to trust. Because each one of you has to learn again how to trust. How many of us, when we, those rare occasions we step out, right, Ankur, we look sort of askance if somebody comes a little closer. We hesitate to take something from somebody who's giving us a gift. And so it's a world in which the lessons have to change. They have to be contextualized to a different world. VUCA for sure. But how do you deal with a pandemic? Do our kids understand the safety precautions? Do they understand the difference between a virus and a bacteria? What are the new protocols in place? All of that will have to change. And yes, with that, we hope to change also some of the values that maybe needed to be left behind. Trust, caring, compassion. So yes, a hybrid world, different pedagogy, different learning, equipping these students for a world which will never look quite the same again. Thanks, Ankur. That's broadly what I wanted to say. And I think all kids, all students should realize that their actual education is now going to transform. Institutions are transforming, but their education will transform. And maybe it will leave them better equipped for their futures, for their lives, and of course for work.
I can't agree with you more, Hansa. I think you have put it really nicely, articulated all the things that probably should be said about the current situation when we are guiding young students or young adults when they are entering universities. Thank you so much for your comments. I can see already there are some comments in the chat section and the Q&A section. Please keep them coming. We are going to get to them. We have 2 more speakers to listen to, and then at 5 o'clock we start the Q&A and the conversations with all the present teachers, career counselors. Looking forward to that. May I now invite our next speaker, Ms. Kanchi Khanna, the Director for Admissions and Outreach at Plaksha University. Kanchi, over to you for your comments and feedback.
Thanks, Ankur. Thank you so much. And a very good afternoon to everyone. I would say I'm very happy to be here, but to be honest, not feeling very happy these days. Like everyone said, news coming in about friends, family, colleagues, which is so, which is so, I don't have a word for it. But I'm glad that I wasn't the first to go, because most of my colleagues have, put my sentiments out there already, and I know, I can only reiterate them. Whether it was Bhakti's talking about how we quickly went digitized, or it was, Anil talking about why another test for students, why add more and more anxiety to it. But Hansa, what I really resonate with most is what you said, that, we have to trust students of today. We have to build that trust. Many of you in the audience here have been part of my journey in the last 3 years, and some of you know that I was a part of 3 founding teams. There was Ashoka first, and then there was Krea, and then there's now Plaksha. And what really kept me afloat, what made me do my job really well, was this community that we built of university representatives and school counselors. We came together for the students, and I think we should continue to do that. I've been supported by all of you. I can see Nina ma'am in the audience. I can see Ganesh. I can see Poonam ma'am. I can see Teji, who's a very dear friend. And you guys have helped me do my job well. The only reason that, I've been moving from one amazing institution to another and Indian institutions is because I'm very, very patriotic, and I want our students to have these options of international education here in India, so that they don't have to travel abroad. And I'm sorry if my voice would break up, but I haven't seen my son for more than 3 years, who went abroad to the US to study. And I don't want that to happen to anyone, right? And I want our children to be here, to study here, and to get the education that they actually deserve. So I'm diverting a little from what I'm supposed to tell you, but I just wanted to let you know that I feel very strongly about this, and I'm so grateful to Ankur for collaborating. I think that's what we all brought into this space, the sense of collaboration. And if I didn't have him and I didn't have some of you by my side, I would probably not have taken on this huge task of setting up Plaksha University virtually. Right? We announced during the pandemic, we've gone ahead, opened admissions, and people like Ankur and Bhakti, and you were right next to me while I went out and did virtual outreach for this university for the first time. And thank you so much for that. For students, there was a lot of learnings from our setting up of the system at Ashoka and then at Krea, and I've been a part of the KICs that Bhakti spoke about. We physically went to these places. It was an amazing thing. We were so proud of creating that. And I got all those learnings to Plaksha, and I said, this is what I'm looking for, and this is what we should take in at Plaksha. We were looking for students who are socially conscious, students who would feel as moved as you and I are today by the pandemic, so that we are excited about creating solutions, whether using a tech solution or using a social science mindset to create solutions, but problem solving, creative problem solving, innovation. We wanted those kind of students to come in, and we still do. Learning at Plaksha is centered around the grand challenges of the world, whether it's renewable energy sources, whether it's the transportation of the future, whether it's, the soil conservation, whether it's the ozone depletion. So we want our students to come in and work on these problems. This is not the only pandemic we are facing. We will continue to see pandemics in the coming years. And that's the reason that we are setting up the 4 majors that we are. One of them is biological systems engineering. The vaccine that we are all hoping to get today is an engineering feat, not made by a doctor, but by engineers who coded and decoded and then genetics and put it together. So we need people with these kind of specialities, people who will be able to problem solve for India and for the world. And that's what we've seen the 2 vaccines in India have done. So I spoke about outreach and how, this community has held me up really. I also want to talk about admissions. I want us to know that each one of us here is sensitive to what the students are going through. When we set up the process at Plaksha, we decided that, we are going to make it test optional. Just like Anil said, why another test? How many tests is a student going to take, right? There's a JEE, there's an SAT, there's a KVPY. There are different ways of proving that they are academically able to perform, to do really well at these programs. So we didn't want to add one, and we said, fine, you bring us any of these tests and we'll be okay with it. The first wave of pandemic hit us, and we said, okay, we go test optional, apply with your predicted scores. right? And in the first round, we gave out conditional offers. But suddenly, even that doesn't seem to hold good now, because even if we give out conditional offers, what are the students going to come back with if the boards don't happen? So we quickly adapted again, and we started accepting another test which can be taken from home, which is the Pearson undergraduate test. It can be taken 16 hours in a day, can be taken multiple times. And we personally sent out an email to every applicant saying, we encourage you to take this. Don't rely on a conditional offer, get it firmed up right away by using this test. So that's what universities do. We are nimble, we are adaptable, we quickly move so that we can look out for you. And that's what we are doing. And I want this partnership of school counselors and university heads and teachers to continue for years down the line, because ultimately we are all working for the students here. I don't know how many of you are parents here in the audience, but I definitely know that there are some, counselors and teachers in the audience. So I would tell you that reach out to us. We are all available. We did a few other things. We knew, like Bhakti said, that it was very difficult to get predicted grades. It was very difficult for students to get transcripts. We bent backwards to allow them time to get those transcripts, give them to us. We also realized that letters of recommendations were very difficult to come by. We removed that completely. We said, give us a number, give us an email ID of anyone you would be happy for us to talk to, and we'll do that. We'll talk to them if we find something that needs validation in your application. But believe me, I've read hundreds and hundreds of applications. I've never called the recommenders. We trust what the children are telling us. We trust them. Only if we need validation for any particular certification will we call up your recommenders. We don't want you running around to get those letters. We don't want you to run around for your transcripts. Give us an undertaking. We'll give you time to get whatever transcripts you have, or a letter, a soft copy from your school. That suffices. Like I said, we trust you. And that's my message really for all of you. I hope I haven't gone over the time limit, Ankur, but thank you. I'm here to answer questions. This is Plaksha, very new. It's the newest kid on the block. I'll be happy to show you the majors we have.
Thank you so much, Kanchi. And I just want to say I have been part of your story right from my days as part of your team at Ashoka University, and we have traveled India, abroad for various outreach forums. And I keep getting those memories on Facebook that I am with you at some place, at this some place. So you have been amazing, and I think all of us will agree when you say that you have done some amazing work at multiple institutions. And right now, when you are at Plaksha, I'm sure you are doing very well, and happy to support you anytime, any which ways. I'm sure you will do a fantastic job as always with Plaksha as well. Thank you so much for that heartfelt comments and feedback. May I now invite our final speaker, Ms. Sadhna Badrinath from Flame University, please. Over to you, Sadhna, for your final comments.
Thank you very much, Ankur, for giving us this opportunity. I know this is something which needs to be addressed, and this is a very good timing. And thank you for joining us. Thanks to all the participants here. I think my earlier speakers have covered most of what I would like to say, but then to add on what is different at Flame University. And I agree with all of you that these are very uncertain times and very difficult times, challenging time is what I would say. And each one of us, I think it's not one person's story, as all of you said. Each one of us are facing these challenges and uncertainties in our own lives. And I think one thing which we all need to have is empathy. And that's the most important thing, that we need to empathize with each other. Even prior to this, Ankur and I had conversations about how universities should collaborate with each other. Kanchi and I have had these conversations, that we are not separate universities. We may be offering some few similar courses, but then it's so important to be together and collaborate with each other, and also collaborate with the schools to give the best experience for our young students. who are, so young and first time entering universities. Now, at Flame last year, we moved online in 3 days' time. That was something which was super fast. We started classes online and we were able to deliver all our courses and conduct our examinations online and completed online as well. Now, of course, these, the online model that we have started has, in a way, given us the opportunity to reach out worldwide. Like, so we've had speakers from across the globe coming and talking to our students. We've had so many webinars and connection series. We've had trainings for corporates. Flame has offered that. And then we have had our founder talks. We've done all of that. Now coming to I think the parents, if there are parents on this session, you would like to, the biggest concern, which everybody else has addressed as well, is about the grade 12 exams and what are we going to do with that. Now, as everybody mentioned, we are not looking at the grade 12 schools. And earlier also at Flame, the offer was conditional subject to passing grade 12. And I think it remains the same even now, subject to, because you see, our admissions start early. We open admissions in October. For October of the previous year, like for 2022, we'll be starting in October 2021. So it's the same for the last year as well. So neither did we change our admission schedules, nor have we changed our admission application pattern or the admission pattern. The only difference that we had to do with admissions was students would come to a center to take the online entrance test. Now they're taking it from their homes, and that's the only difference. Otherwise, the testing pattern, our Flame entrance aptitude test, has remained the same. We do not insist on SAT or ACT scores or any other test scores. It is not mandatory. If you have it, you can give it. So students need not stress about that. We've kept it as simple as possible. Now, each one of us from my admissions outreach team do sessions. Just now before the session, I was at 12 o'clock, I was talking to a parent who was extremely anxious about what's going to happen with her child. That's really so sad that parents. So what we need to do is maybe talk a little more, give them time, listen a little more, have empathy in us to, do this counseling. At Flame, we have a wellness center, a mental health and wellness center for all our students. We've given a lot of support to students and parents who needed support. We've also done our some internships online this year. And then we've had, in fact, some of the student clubs also happened online. So when we are talking about delivery of the program, I think we've tried to keep it as close to the way it was happening on campus. Of course, there is a lot of difference in the sense that students are not on campus. The campus itself, staying on campus itself is such a big learning experience. That's not happening at the moment. So coming to the students who are coming back to the admission process this year again, we are in the final round of admissions. May 31st is the deadline to apply. And we are not insisting on predicted grades from schools or letters. Whoever can give it to us, we are very happy with that. If you can give it, if you cannot, don't stress about that. And just now, a student a while ago again asked me, I would not be having my official certificate. What do I do? Don't worry about it. See, all of us are, as I said, it will be a policy that all of us will be taking, and you need not stress yourself about this at all. So the test would be a Flame entrance aptitude test online for 2 hours, followed by an essay for 15 minutes, and a personal interview also for just 6 minutes, 3 questions. So 2 hours and 26 minutes, you completed the entrance test in full. Okay. And selection is not based only on your performance in the entrance test. It is based on so many factors: your statement of purpose, reasons why you're considering us, your past academic records, That means we are talking about your grade 10 scores and not your grade 12 scores, your extracurricular achievements, we value sports hugely, and then your performance in the entrance. So there is no one thing that makes it so important. And I think the stress, we should be able to bring down the stress of many students after this session when so many of us have emphasized this. Then coming to the, I spoke about coming to the admissions part of, when you come to the campus, we have, again, that has not changed. Like we have an orientation. So that will be conducted online. And we will be offering a lot of support online for you to how to select your courses. So again, students, there's a lot of confusion. How do I select my major? How do I select my minor? Please do not worry about all this. We will be offering help with everything possible. And we will be hand-holding you right through the process of application to admissions and while you come to the campus. Like if you cannot come, I know this year in June when we start, you will not be able to come to the campus. It doesn't look like, as Kanchi said, there could be a third wave again. So this, we will need to be doing this online for some time. And we are very clean and transparent. And a lot of questions about what about, since it's a residential campus, what about the fees? I mean, we are very clean about that. We will not be charging you boarding and lodging fees if you're not going to be on campus. So you can be rest assured about that. Okay. So I think I have covered most of the questions, and we will move on to the question answers. If there's anything that needs to be addressed, I would be happy to take it on.
Thank you, Sadhana. Thank you, Sadhana, so much for that wonderful comment and feedback about what is happening with Flame University and what are you guys doing to mitigate the risks that our students are facing in these uncertain times. Thank you so much. Now we go on to the most awaited thing, I think, of this webinar. We all wanted to interact and engage with each other, the career counselors and university higher education leaders. So I'll just start with taking the first question that came our way and then open it up to the panelists. Okay, so first question that we had is the importance of grade 10 in the admission process for your universities, especially for students who will apply in 2023 and will not have grade 10 transcripts because the grade 10 exams have been cancelled for this year, I think. So how are universities going to look at that? So anybody who wants to go first, grade 10 examinations cancellation and its impact in your admission process. Let's start with you, Bhakti, Krea.
I'll just, I don't know, maybe I'm speaking for everyone here, but look, we don't know what's going to happen in 6 months. So I think 2023 is very, very far away. So let's take each year as it comes. I think we have so many other more important things to look at. Of course, it will be considered. There will be a consideration. I mean, if the exams have not happened, but we don't know what that will be. We don't know if it will be driven by government policy, to begin with, or it will be, university led. But it's too soon to really give a definitive response to that. So I'd say
can I add to that, Ankur?
Yeah, Hansa, please go ahead. It's for everyone.
So, actually, I think we've all just come together to say that the systems have changed, the mindsets have changed. Please encourage your students also to leave those mindsets behind. It was unthinkable at one stage that, an Ankur Vohra from OP Jindal would reach out to Anil and Sadhana and Bhakti and Kanchi and me and get us all onto one panel to say, hey, we're on the same page. But it's happened. And similarly, we're saying that even grade 12 is not so important. So we'll work policies, we'll work solutions. Right, Ankur, we'll figure. But we certainly keep the students' interest first. That should be the overwhelming message. And let's take that as a as one of the gains from COVID.
I think I agree with you, Hansa. That's what, when I say the term new age universities, I think this is like a renaissance in Indian higher education where we are talking about, and I started using this word 2 years back when I traveled abroad at different forums and I saw the US universities collaborating really nicely, and they have these really good associations of higher education leaders from the universities who collaborate, who work together. So I really picked up from there that experience that I had, and I thought, why not we, the new age institutions that we have, 10, 20 of us, then we should start collaborating, and maybe in some years down the line, we'll have much more formalized way of talking to each other. But I agree with you, Hansa. I think students, and when Anil says we are all in this together, I think that's the term. All of the grade 10 students this year will not have a grade 10 mark sheet. So you're not a single one out. So whatever happens is going to happen for all of us. So I don't think you should worry about it. I think I'm sure as time evolves and as the situation evolves, we'll find processes, and Bhakti said, and the processes will be put in place so that nobody is at loss because of not having a grade 10 proper examinations. So rest assured. May now, yeah, Kanchi.
I know there are a lot of questions, but I just
please.
wanted to. Yeah, okay.
Carry on.
May I, Anil? Okay.
Yeah, Kanchi.
So I just wanted to say that, having been in admissions teams, I know what we're really looking for. When we look at the grades, we are looking for academic ability for people to be able to take the rigor that our universities will offer, right? All of us, or some of us here, at least the ones that I know, are looking at your academic journey from class 9 to 12th. So we are looking at 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Even when we do that, we know that 9th and 11th are not standardized scores. Every school is scoring on their own assessment. We do look at them, but we don't grade them. We look at it just to tell us how academically consistent you were, right? So probably 10th for your class or your batch would become a data point for us to tell us your consistency, but will not be absolutely not. And I don't think anyone amongst us would do that to make it like a score that we accept, because we know that every school will score differently. We know that the national curriculum schools sometimes are very, very strict in class 11th. So we never score the class 11th, but we just look at it to see, okay, were you consistent? So probably that's how class 10th for you will be looked at, as a data point only, just to show consistency and not be scored.
Just to add here, I totally agree what Kanchi said, because most of the university, it is not the determinant that a percentage weightage of 10 score would be added up. No, it's considered as a value addition. It's progressiveness and consistentness. That's where I have a slightly adding up to a different point of view. Unfortunately, I'm agree with Hansa. The whole perspective has to change. I always feel 10th examination is nothing, is just compartmentalizing. It's just dividing student. And after 10th grade, you categorize student, as brightest like that, you put it science, PCM, non-medical, then humanities and commerce. We just compartmentalize students. Why don't we have this system totally not there? I'm just thinking aloud, and I think NEP certain points are there. And a student who want to pursue physics, he want to be an astrophysics, we can actually, the teachers are the right people who can actually take a person's students assessment at 7th, 8th, 9th grade, and they can feel there itself that he is very good in that. But unfortunately this 10th grade is only compartmentalization. So the larger effect, I think the internal schools knows very well, how they perform. So I think the only concern would be there, but I think all school would be adaptable, and each teacher know, the class teachers, okay, where he fits. It's only the compartmentalization which I'm saying. In 11th, what subject they're going to take, I think that's going to be the slightly thoughtful. They need to be there. How the school is going to channelize that. Otherwise, university, as I told Kanchi, it's basically seen as a consistency. I don't think so. It holds any value add points. Okay, now you're getting 5% if you score 90% in 10th. I don't think so. Any of the university does that. So it's not going to affect the university per se. But yes, there should be some system will come how a student is getting a subject score. And that a lot of, I think in my time in my school also, they were taking the internal assessments and they give it the branches accordingly rather than waiting for the board marks. That's what I have to say for 10th.
Thank you so much. I agree with you on this also. I have to move on quickly to the next questions as there are a lot of them. I have my next question from my dear friend Prabha Duna from Mauritius. Prabha says the authenticity of online examinations, the AI proctored examinations that we have been posting. I think most of us are doing AI proctored exams. How reliable are they, and how are we using the scores? So if anybody would like to take this question up.
Can I take it?
Yeah, Sadhna and then Anil will go to it.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. So, see, our proctored exams, if you're talking about individual proctored exams, they are definitely very authentic. See, there's nothing much that has changed from what we were doing, say, 10, 12 years ago to what we did now in the past year and this year. That's exactly what I was trying to say. So there is no human, it is all, it's an online test, which is the only difference being instead of a student coming to a center and taking the test, the student is taking it from the home and it is proctored. So definitely, there is no question of a student trying to, if that is the concern, that's definitely not there. And as you say, we need to trust our children also, and we've always trusted them. So there is no way. And regarding the evaluation also, the evaluation is also done computer. In fact, we don't even have the student name. We have the application number. So there is no way that it's completely transparent. There's no way that something can go wrong with those scores. Definitely no way. I mean, I can assure you of that. And we've done this for this. I've been with Flame for 13 years and this is our 14th year and it's worked very well for us. And I'm sure it will work well for it. So we need not doubt that at all. But somewhere I just want to add, I'm slightly diverting from this topic. There's somewhere, I think the stress that all of us are creating, we adults are creating for the students, is something that we need to look at for ourselves. Like maybe the university counselors, the schools, the parents especially, the kind of stress we are putting on the children with this marks and grades and scores and all this. I mean, these are difficult times, I understand, but then don't we need to value life itself and living happily, living this moment happily? That somewhere we are worrying about what's going to happen 3 years from 2 years from now with the grade 10 scores. A policy will definitely come into place for that.
Yeah.
And when we have managed this, we should be able to manage that also.
Definitely.
And with so many universities putting their heads together, I think we'll have answers within 2-3 days or maximum a week's time. So why are we, stressing, creating anxiety, not only for our incoming batch, for
I think
grade 10 students also we are creating anxiety.
I think the challenge also lies with our counselor friends because they have to educate the parents.
Yeah.
And they will ask them
The
10 more
parents
questions. And they will be on our same wavelength. But yeah, I know dealing with parents is another ball game altogether. So thank you so much, Sandaji. Anil, you wanted to have a comment here.
So just the technicality, when I say, I think Ankur also knows, they're also using, when we talk about artificial intelligence base, what does that tell?
Sir.
Look, Indian kids in any case are pretty experts, and you know that this young generation is the Greek of all the IT specs. So they know what can be the flaws, what can be done. We know this. But yes, as I say, we need to trust the students and all. But artificial intelligence, what it does, it happens two way. One, the pattern of your questions, first of all, need to understand is what. If your pattern of a question is a very blueprint of a certain boards or a JE, it's very easy to do manipulate that because, okay, you get X plus Y is equal to something, the values change. No. So at our thing, the pattern is totally changed. It's conceptual base. So if you have understood well the concept of a particular topic and a chapter, you're able to give the answer. This is one. Second, when I'm saying artificial intelligence, I'm just saying one of the feature. So I'm talking to you. Yes, I'm going. My eyes are going left side. My intelligence. Okay. My ears are going this side. I'm looking here. So the artificial intelligence, there's an intensity you build up 7 second, 8 second, 11 second, depending upon your volume and all. It recorded and capture back. So each individual test we get a proctor remote. And let's say we have 6 panelists here. We're seeing here. So the proctor would be monitoring them and all, any anomaly and all. And then each student's report comes to us. That is basically abbreviation and deviation. So there's a report comes proctored one. Okay, these are the 20 cases where we feel there's an abbreviation. which there is a team who conduct and check if at all is there. There are certain times genuineness is there, like all of a sudden there's a sound coming from the back. The mother has put a pressure cooker and she's cooking something, so the student has actually unmuted, okay, because it's not required. So these are the cases why it happened and all. It's been checked. So I think all of the universities is pretty side. The sanctity of overall exams has been taken care of. So I don't think so. We have any leak as of now, to be honest.
Not at
And
all.
I think Ankur, you use the
I
same
agree with that.
partner. You use the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
partner. We have got experience in their overall education.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think online AI proctored testing is the future of examinations. I really believe that over the last 1 year, we have at OP Jindal, we have, I think, given more than 15,000 tests, online tests with our partner, and all of them, barring few of them, less than 1%, there have been no issues. Even if issues have been found, they have been sorted, and we have the measures, preventive measures have been taken in place. So I think it's the future. You will have online AI proctored testing, more of it rather than less of it in the future as well. So quickly, thanks so much, Anil and Sadhna, for this. I have to move on to
Sorry,
the,
Ankur, coming
yeah,
in.
Sadhna.
In fact, we have also the last year been able to do this for students who don't even have a laptop. Like there are students who apply and they don't have access to a laptop in their homes. Some of them
Yeah.
did not have Wi-Fi access. Even
Yeah.
then, so what we've
Wow.
done is they have had no Wi-Fi in their homes. So we have our alumni who can help in the town or nearby. We've done so we take it so that one student who is considering applying to Flame should not have any difficulty just because they don't have a laptop or access to Wi-Fi.
Really?
We have managed that successfully. So we as a university will deal with it case to case so that no student is impacted because of no access to Wi-Fi or laptop. Yeah.
Done. Thank you so much. That's a wonderful initiative from today. Thank you, Sadhna ji. I move on to the next question or comment. Mrs. Filmani, my dear friend. Hi, ma'am. How are you? Congratulations, Ankur. Much needed exposure and initiative. I told you last time. Neena ji was there on the last webinar that I was talking about with the counselors, and where they were motivating me to host a forum like this. Thank you, ma'am, for your motivation as always, and happy to have you here with us. Next question from my another dear friend, Himanshu Dev from Mumbai. Okay, so thank you so much for your comment. You have brought in the IPL analogy here. Thank you for the IPL one, but I'm not going to talk about 6 sixes in 6 balls. I am going to take your question up. As parents, so you are talking about financial aid and how our university is looking at giving out financial aid, whether the aid has gone up or gone down. I know international universities, definitely you're right, have cut down their international budgets, scholarship budgets. So let's go for Kanchi. She said I would like to answer. So Kanchi, going to you first and then others.
Thank you so much. I would like to tell Ankur, you and the audience and everyone else here what Plaksha's vision is. We have, we are a collective philanthropy institute like Krea here as well. But we haven't just, we haven't just held our horses till, pooling of resources. We've gone ahead and floated some scholarships which are named scholarship. So while we have a very, very generous financial aid, program, we also have named scholarships like the Bhakti Fellowship. So we are reaching out to bigger organizations, industrialists to come and support students and create fellows out of them, just like the Rhodes Fellowship. So we want to create those kind of scholarships. We've got Bhakti Scholarship already in place. It goes beyond financial need. It also provides mentorship. It provides it provides opportunities for jobs, for internships, for projects in the Bharti group of industries. We similarly have Access Bank now coming up with those, and many other donors who want to specifically sponsor some student. So there is financial for students who clear these fellowships and scholarships. Fantastic. For those who don't, Plaksha will step in and give financially. So we are in fact going beyond what the student needs. So we are always, deciding on the side of the student. So if we feel that a student needs about 40% aid, we go ahead and give them 50. If it's so, we'd have 4 brackets, like 25, 50, 75, and 100. So if anyone falls in between those 2 brackets, we take the higher limit. And also, like Sadhna said, we would make sure that we are giving them hostel charges, we're giving them meals if they need it. We would also help them on campus. If they want to go and do a semester abroad, we're ready to fund that as well. So if a student is the kind that we would want in our university, we'll make sure that the learning happens and they don't have to worry about the money. So while a lot of funds, CSR funds, are being diverted towards the COVID management, but there are a whole lot of people who are still wanting to give to education because that's the investment into the future. That's continuing definitely at universities like ours. A lot of opportunities for scholarships.
Thank you, Kanchi. Any
Ankur,
other
if I may.
want to?
Yeah, I think all of us have a lot to say about financial assistance, which is sort of the telltale sign of this new age university concept in India, right? I mean, whether it's financial assistance, which is need blind admissions and need aware financial assistance. And I think Kanchi is very familiar with those terms because she's instrumental in coining them. I think the kind of universities that are sitting here, at least Himanshu, are the kind who are very focused on quality. So just like international universities have been traditionally focused on providing financial assistance to quality students that they want, at least at Krea, and I know for the rest as well, it's applicable. At Krea this year, we're looking at about 45% of the cohort will be on financial assistance, up to 45% of the cohort. We have a separate team that manages admissions. We have a separate team that manages financial assistance, which is completely siloed from all other teams. So the decisions are extremely, sort of fair. And we also have a completely separate team that raises funds from donors, just like Kanchi was mentioning. And these are donors, I mean, these are fundraisers that are happening for financial assistance for students who are coming to Krea. So with that being said, I think, Himanshu, if the student gets an offer of admission, and is eligible for financial assistance, meets our eligibility criteria, they will definitely be offered financial assistance. So that I think parents can be rest assured. I mean, in fact, one critical aspect of outreach at Krea is reaching foundation schools. We are in search of quality applications. We are in search of talent throughout the country. So we are not just focusing on IB and Cambridge and top cream schools of the country. We have a massive pool of foundation schools, which are CSR schools from across the country where we are talking to them, and we have a very steady relationship with them. And we look to grow this further in the years to come. So that's the Krea perspective.
Thank you, Bhakti. Hansa, you had something to add? Let's go to Hansa first and then Sadhna.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. So, short answer, no cut in the financial aid budget at the university. I think this is a time when the financial aid budget is more necessary than ever before. So, to answer Himanshu's question, no cut.
Thank you, Hansa. Sadhna, over to you.
Okay. Himanshu, at Flame, Flame is the philanthropic arm of ENAM itself. So there is a lot of fund available for scholarship for students who need them. In fact, last year, these are stories which I'd like to share because there were so many, in fact, students who go to the IB schools. Generally, we think the parent income is, they're able to pay the kind of fees that our universities charge. But after selection, after giving the letter of offer, financial situations of some of the parents changed because they either lost their businesses, so they were not able to, they had to withdraw because they were not able to go ahead with the fee structures that we were asking for, or, some of them lost their jobs. Flame went ahead and, all that they needed to send us was some documents, and we have a scholarship committee. And wherever it was definitely a genuine request, we've gone ahead and offered the scholarship. In fact, we've had students last year, even earlier also, where they pay almost zero to study at Flame. So we are very generous with scholarships to students who need it. So we have special scholarships. So after coming to Flame, if the parents' financial situation changes, say after 2 years, we at that stage also the student can make a petition to the scholarship committee, and we look at it very empathic, with a lot of empathy, and we do offer the scholarship. So I don't think that should be a. In fact, Enam has gone on to fund several corporates also at this time, because they've said Enam was supporting so many corporates, and they said, please don't cut your the salaries of your staff. We will give you the funding for now. And we have, Flame has gone ahead, and Enam has gone ahead and done so much in the pandemic. Of course, they are not, I'm speaking and they are not going to be saying this.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful to hear that there's so much good work happening at Flame. Anil, you want to comment?
I think I would like try to keep it at short. Look, I think most of the Indian university, because the way the whole university abroad, especially US work in us, is a very different silos. Okay, so we have in fact rather increased the budget. If you ask me, I think we can probably say that we increased the budget this year, and we were very what do you call nimble. I would like to rather use in terms of the situation. Okay, I just add on to what Sadhana has mentioned. We have added up one more vertical of scholarship apart from the rural scholarship. I think more than 40 plus students are on 100% scholarship. To an extent, these are the students who are coming from not so privileged background and they don't have a laptop to work on. So it's not only the fees, hostel and all, we also take care of that. Their education delivery happens, at parity with the other student. So we have actually procured the laptops for them. So you understand that scholarship goes till what end. Even to apply them later on when they do, we also increase the merit cum means. So merit cum means we had around 8 lakh is the annual salary and the merit was certain percentage in both. That was the reason. So as I just mentioning Sadhana, I had 5 cases came up where the parents came with the pink slip. Last year's COVID. They said, okay, look, our income was great. We are not into your bracket, but now we don't have a source of income with 2 kids around and all. It's been 6 months. What to do? Can you help them? And that's the reason the whole admission committee, as I told you, is empathetical. We are nimble. We done revise it and we taken certain exception for these cases where they were not qualifying earlier, but now qualifying during after the offer letter, as Sadhana said, and we really help them out. And this year also we have done it 8 lakh was the minimum, for our merit cum means. We increase it to 12. We understand that also, because probably that will not work out and all. So we increase it like annual income should be 12 lakh and all in merit cum means. We introduce sports scholarship there. We introduce the board toppers. The whole idea of Shivnada University is to look for the meritorious. So we go to tier 2 cities. So I'm interested, let's say a district topper from Lucknow should be at least aware of these universities that there are funding available. And if I qualify through the merit of this, I can get the seat, and that show also on special aids. So that's a message. I think all the university here would be love to do that, looking for the meritorious student, and it's not necessary because we know that urban city they can probably manage, but the real problem is that side. So we are actually. So I don't think so. Just to add to Himanshu, I think Himanshu, most of the universities not cutting, probably they are making more ways to accommodate students.
Exactly.
That's the last line I would say.
I agree with you. I think we are, as one of my panelists, I forgot her name, is Bhakti or somebody. I think we are all looking for talent, and it says we have generous scholarship budgets, and COVID definitely has helped us in increasing that budget because we know the situation in our country, and I think it will continue for this year as well because it is again a COVID hit, pandemic hit year, and even worse than last year. So at OP General also we have continued with the same amount, if not more, of scholarships that we offer our students. So thank you, Himanshu, for that wonderful question. I would now go on to another question from Prabha. How do you address courses which involve hands-on aspects of subjects, for example, involving lab sessions? I know Anil was talking about it. So Anil, how are you doing it at Shivnadar? Engineering, I think that's the major thing that you...
So if you ask me in engineering also, you have to channelize into certain specifically the lab environment. Like I'm saying wet lab, engineering, lead, especially mechanical engineering and all those. So the easiest is basically the IT ones because it's a remotely proctored. The server can be in cloud. You can create the online lab environment. There are so many influences. Similarly, we have tied up and all with Coursera and other where we have a stimulated 3D augmented, I told you, the lab environment which we have done it. Yes, certain labs required. So what we have done, the whole realignment of the semesters also happened, which is required. That is, I think everybody has done it, we know. And somehow we were actually lucky to have in between 2 to 3 months where students who have the problem in net and adaptability to IT technologies of these lab exercise, they were actually able to come to the campus also during that the small window period where we all felt we are back to the old normal. So we were able to give that, but yes, there would be challenge going forward to specifically where you required a hands-on experience. So for an example, you are doing an exercise, especially I'm talking about in wet labs and all, where you're doing metallurgy, probably an exercise where you're pressing it to a level where you wanted to make a hole and you need to see the density and all. Now that experience when you do with your own hand, that may not be there, but yes, in the overall virtual and other environment is there. So I think most of it has been covered. I think only the challenge will come if at all this situation goes second year onwards, because the first, the 2 semesters are not that heavy on those lines. That could be one challenge actually, which I feel. I'm not sure. Probably the faculty side has already worked on it, and that is the time I'm saying. Rightly, somebody was mentioning edtech was there, but the right use of edtech is happening right now. So there are certain portion of lab exercises already been done, but yes, in future I think more advancement need to come, and we hope that student would be able to join those physical classes.
Thank you, Anil. Thank you so much. I think for us also, being a social science and liberal arts institution, we only offer arts program, that we don't have labs as part of our curriculum, so that helps. Anybody else has anything to talk about lab experience or something that you are doing?
Ankur, we had another on.
Let's go for Kanchi and then Hansa.
Very short answer. We run a YTS program, which is more robotic based. And when we took it online, we made sure that every student had the kit to do what we were asking them to do. So those kits were shipped across. And later we identified vendors from where the students could buy those kits. And then those workshops were taken online. So that's one way we did it, but I'm sure there are many others and we will discover this.
Thank you, Kanchi. Hansa?
So we did a similar exercise for some of our workshops, but these were the shorter workshops, and actually, the kits were couriered out to the students. They were quite happy to receive them, and the learning was pretty impactful. But we also have a life sciences program, which is very well established. And there, the issues that Anil spoke of were very relevant. I think there, the advantage that we really offer students is that they can continue to take courses from other areas, because ours is a choice-based credit system. Every semester, we open up about 200 to 250 courses. So say you have a student who is interested in life sciences, but also Japanese or psychology. What those students typically do is they lean towards courses which they can take while the pandemic is on. So they don't really lose in terms of timing. Of course, at some stage, the challenge will be there and those courses will have to be completed in labs.
Thank you, Hansa.
Ankur, I know you're winding up, but can I just take
Go ahead.
half a minute to acknowledge a very senior counselor here,
Go ahead.
Shivangi. Hi to you, and I'm so sorry I didn't acknowledge you when I was reading out the list. We are friends, and Shivangi's pulling my leg. She's saying you didn't acknowledge me when you spoke. So thank you, Shivangi, for all that you've done for me. I also see Suman, Sumita, Harminder also, and all of them have, been a very integral part of my outreach journey. Thanks a lot.
Me too, all of them. So,
Yes,
ditto. So from my side, I think all of us are in the same boat here again. All of us know them. So thank you so much.
Messaging me that you didn't take my name. I said, I'm sorry.
So thank you so much, Kanchi, for doing it for us. I think we will speak for all of us when we do that. So I think it's been a fantastic session. We are at 5:30. I can see there is one question about grade 10 parents and how we are going to talk about number grades. I think we briefly touched upon it, and I don't think we will have the bandwidth to talk in detail about it here. Probably some other time in some other webinar we'll address this question as well. So thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. Thank you so much, my dear career counselors from all over India, abroad. I saw people from Prabhaji from Mauritius coming in. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. Thank you so much yes, as Himanshu says, IPL analogy 6 and whatnot. Thank you, Himanshu, for being so kind with us. But I think we are all in this together. We are all trying to collaborate and make a platform where we can all share our ideas and even express ourselves. I think it's very few opportunities where we can meet, and we used to meet regularly. Now we don't travel. I used to be very jealous when I used to see, Anil traveling to Hyderabad or someplace and Bhakti traveling to someplace. I'm like, pandemic is over. I should go.
2 months, just 2 months. It was just 2 months where we thought the world was back to normal, and clearly we were wrong.
I used to see those photos. I used to tell my outreach team, but I plan something. See, Krea is out there, Shiv, Nadar is out there. They're in Lucknow. They're here. What are we doing? They used to tell me, sir, please calm down. COVID is still not over. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how these guys are able to pull this off. But thankfully, I'm happy that you were all safe, because the situation really turned bad after that. And I hope we'll meet sometime soon physically, probably next year, not before that, until we have all our 2 shots of vaccinations and we are all secure. That is what I see. But stay safe, everyone. Stay well. I think it's a fabulous conversation. I think it was 1.5 hours well spent. I'm inspired. I'm more energized after talking to all of you and seeing that we feel the same kind of problems, face the same kind of issues that all of you are facing. So we are all in this together. Anil has said, we are in the same boat. So thank you so much. Have a good evening.
If I may just take the liberty.
Bhakti, over to you.
Over to you. For 30 seconds, just take the liberty to say this on behalf of everyone for 30 seconds. Thank you for doing this, for bringing us together. And I think this room really does represent the new age universities in the country. And, just so that we move a little beyond lip service and webinars, if we were to actually come together and collaborate and maybe think of a few other things that we could do together, because we have a very long way to go. This country has more old age universities than new age universities, and how are we going to come together and see how we can make any impact in the lives of students and counselors who are deeply worried. So yeah, on behalf of everyone, thank you for doing this, Ankur, and we promise that the next step one of us will take. So
definitely,
this is not constantly on you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bhakti, for those
pleasure being
words.
with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Hansa. Thank you, Kanchi. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye.